Read the problem to me. M squared. Orient yourself so you can see the board. Plus 22. Okay. So on our test, we have to solve quadratics using 4 methods. One is graphing. So in order to graph, step 1 is set the equation equal to 0. So in this case, we have m squared plus 22 equals minus 23m. I want to, using additive inverse, get a 0 over here. Minus 23m, the additive inverse would be plus 23m. So on the right-hand side, I would have the 0 I seek. These are all unlike terms, and I'm going to write them in order from lowest decreasing powers of x. 23m would come next, and then my plus 22. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2. Graph and find the x-intercepts, which are also called the roots, solutions, or zeros. So I'm going to, in y1, f1 of x in our calculator on Desmos just f of x, graph just this right side, the left side, pardon me, m squared plus 23m plus 22. Y'all all graph that on Desmos. Let me take a look at it. And I should have written that right. If I said f of x here, I needed to put x as my input. That's a good catch. On Desmos, you might be able to put f of m. Is that what you were saying, Allie?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So graphing that, and we're looking for. If I were factoring this, the factors would be 22 and 1. That's where the x-intercepts are going to be. One's going to be at 1. The other's going to be at 22. Am I right about that?
It's a negative 1.
Oh, yeah, good catch. The factors would be plus 22 and plus 1, but the zeros would be minus that. So I'll eliminate that.
How do we graph it?
Assist, Ella, if you could. We're concerned with these points, the x-intercepts. Right there and right there. The left one is a minus 22. Dakota, is that right?
Yes.
Thank you, Kayla. And the right one is a minus 1. Those are our solutions, okay? X equals minus 22. X equals minus 1.
Oh.
And so, yes, ma'am, sure can. Cool.
Perfect.
That was just too easy. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, no surprises. Step 3, and this step goes for all of the processes. You need to check your solutions. Step 3, verify. Check your answer. So my initial, go to your initial statement, which was for us m squared plus 22 equals negative 23m. M squared plus 22 equals negative 23m. Substitute our solutions. We should do both of them. I'm just going to show one of them. I'm going to do negative 1. So negative 1 squared plus 22. Question, is that equal? Negative 23 times negative 1. And you can use your calculator to check for equality, but this here is a positive 1. Positive 1 plus 22 is a positive 23. Negative 23 times negative 1 is a positive 23. This is a true statement. So I know that negative 1 is a solution. And we could find, we could verify the other one in a similar fashion. If you have a question, write it down. I'll answer it at the end, okay? And this, I will post this as a video, so if we're going too fast, you can go back and review on your own. All right. So the next method.
What am I doing?
Setting the equation to 0.
Okay, what's the equation?
The equation
M squared plus 23.
Oh, plus 22 equals negative.
M squared plus 22?
Equals negative 23m. It's minus when there's a number in front. It's negative when there's not. So explain that. What are you doing?
Setting the equation equal to 0. Guys, this is really hard to write on.
That is a weird.
I can't write. I don't know how to go back either.
I love that M.
I'm trying to fix it.
I'm not judging.
Well, Hannah, it's all good.
You just do.
Because you are trying.
You know what? I think I'm just gonna scribble this out and do it in like this. Oh
Are
no,
you
that messed
kidding
up
me?
again.
That was even
You can
worse.
erase, right?
Yeah, I know, but I can't find the. Oh, I found the erase. Me.
How many M's are you going to draw?
It's not erasing. Oh, never mind. Whoop whoop. Erasing.
Do you want to erase the 23? Oh my gosh.
Okay. So you set it to 0. Then what?
Oh wait, hold on. Equals
0.
And 2. We're going to enter it into the graph, right?
No, we're doing factoring.
Oh, we're doing factoring. Oh, okay, so we're going to do big X. Oh, wait, no, wait, hold on. I gotta do these first. Ooh, that's funky M.
You switch where. Remember, we want to do 23m first and then the 22. You know, because when we're factoring, that'll help. The previous line, you have plus 22 then plus 23m.
Yeah.
Rearrange those. Just you can erase it. If you click on yeah, that'll work too. Sure.
Come on, maybe watch that one. I love it. I do.
Okay. So, 22 and 23 is on the top. It's positive. It's positive. Why those both be negative?
Okay. A times C is the bottom, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's what I did.
So, yeah.
They both be negative? They both be positive.
Positive.
See, I thought they had one a negative and a negative.
No.
Oh, no,
They're both positive.
wait, I got it now. I remember.
Good
Okay.
job.
So, 22 and 1.
You heard it.
Yeah, shut up.
Area of our
It's
sector
Hannah's turn.
is our part over our total.
Okay, so now, what do we do?
We don't know.
What do we do? Oh. Now, don't we gotta make sure that equals back out to...
Now, what do you do now to find the solution?
We set those equal to 0? Yeah, so it's not.
How much is it?
Oh, there it is. Rainbow.
X over
Oh, I have to show you a poster one. Okay.
and they tell us what the radius is. How much? Okay. To put that in parentheses. 3 squared is 9. So
You guys wanna hear a
left
cool
side I
story?
have 9
I saw that.
times this x over 3 is 6.
Okay, so what are the solutions?
So, oh, wait, hold on, guy.
Well, we can divide by 5. The pi's are the same. I can divide by that. Okay. So I have, that's what solve for x. I have 9x over 360.
Oh,
You have
good
all
job.
different kinds of fractions. You just like put this over 1. Okay, 9x over 360.
Oh, no, that looks funky.
What was your story, Ella?
Okay, so I was in Walmart yesterday. Whenever I get cold, I turn purple.
That
should be on the shirt. I know when I turn purple. It's a true story. It's called cryoglobulinemia. But I'm in the store and I'm freezing and I turn purple and Gigi's like, my grandma, she's like, go look in the clearance section and find a $5 hoodie, and I was like, yes. And I was looking, and I found this Jesus sweater from the guys section that I looked at earlier when it was like $30, and I was like, I like this sweater, but it was in the $5 clearance section. It's old, and I was like, I just found the Jesus sweater for $5, and it's super soft.
Nice.
Great.
I love Jesus things.
Me too. I like to rep Jesus.
I thought you said I like to rep Jesus. I was like, what?
I like to rep Jesus.
Hannah, how much more are you going to do? So I think Hannah is part of the equation.
Then we can change that to radians.
Be kind.
All right, y'all
Yes,
know about that.
please.
Yeah, 4/3 pi. 4/3 pi. Because pi is more than 80. So 4/3 pi is more than that. It's
My
4/3.
hair.
Good job, Hannah.
Is os.
I want to write on
Say
it.
it was at 4/9
Let me
pi.
see.
Go back to the question. 4/9 pi. And the arc length, oh, this is like, the angle is 80. 80 will be 4/9.
Cool.
Aria, can you tell me my this sweater?
Arc length is the part of the
Nice.
circumference. Okay.
Thank you, Aria. I
You
appreciate
can
it.
delete it.
You
I'm
got
so happy.
all of your
That's not even a sweater. That's a
Feel the inside of my
Whoever.
Jesus jacket.
This thing here is 80 over
Soft. I won't be turning purple today.
I don't think we're going down the lake today.
That's 2 pi arc.
I don't think we're either.
I don't think we are either because Mr. Ryan's dealing with that stuff.
That's disappointing.
Wait, why aren't we?
Because we're in here.
So that's 2 times
With the
86.
portables, we could just head out there, but through here,
6
we have to
times
go through the whole.
80 is 480, and 480 over 360.
Actually,
I
one
like your
person
shirt.
was testing in that room.
You're welcome.
I think I mentioned in the thing, did I say one index card? Look in the,
Yeah, I love that.
I could
you
color
can make
in that
one
like
index
all day.
card on both sides.
Wait, I finished.
She got the
Yours make up
solution.
things.
Great. Good job.
I
Hannah
like
is
this.
awesome. Thank you.
I can go doodle.
You're
that.
dismissed. Okay. Any questions about that one? All right. Next is the quadratic formula.
What quadratic functions?
Quadratic formula. And this is right off the formula chart. You don't have to, from our green formula chart, the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b. I need a better battery for this. Of course. Yeah, of course. Negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And of course these a's, b's, and c's are from our standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Alright, so again, the first step is to set it equal to 0. I'm not going to redo that. We know that we have m squared plus 23m plus 22 equals 0. So, one big thing we're seeing here, 3 out of our 4 methods involve setting it equal to 0 first. Okay? Alright, so once you set it equal to 0, step 2, that's step 1 there. Step 1 was to set it equal to 0. Step 2, find or identify A, B, and C. A is my coefficient of my quadratic term. In this case, it is 1. B is the coefficient of the linear term, the first power term. That's 23. C is my constant, 22. Okay. All right. Sure. Step 3. Sub into the quadratic formula. So I'm subbing all these things into this. We have x equals negative b, so that's a negative 23, plus and minus the square root of b squared, that'll be 23 squared. Remember, if it's negative, it's essential that you put it in parentheses. In general, parentheses are good when substituting. A and C was 1 and 22. All divided by 2a, that's 2 times 1. Okay. Step 4, we're going to evaluate the discriminant. That's that underneath part. I want to find the discriminant. Evaluate discriminant. That's that underneath part. The discriminant is this part here. Okay, so x equals negative 23 plus and minus the square root of, everybody using your calculator, find what that number is going to be there. Not the square root of it, just the underneath part. Did anyone else get 529?
Oh no, that's just one number. My bad.
441 sounds right. That's a perfect square.
Oh, it's making me slow. Okay.
4 times 11 is 20. 4 times 44 and then 44 times 2.
88. You only got 4. You got 441 as well. Did y'all get 441?
Yeah, I believe I did as well.
All right. That number, again, it's called the discriminant. If it's positive, we know there's 2 real roots. Since it's a perfect square, we know it's factorable. Of course, we've already factored it. But all right. Now we're going to go ahead and finish out step 5.
Wait, what did we get?
441. If you didn't get 441, you did something wrong. Step 5. Simplify and check. That is, sometimes we're going to be able to find an exact value. Well, we can always find an exact value. Sometimes we're going to find a nice couple integers or rational numbers. Sometimes we have to leave it as a square root. All right, this one's going to work out rather nicely. What is the square root of 441?
21.
All right, so this one's going to work out very nicely. Negative 23 plus and minus 21 over 2. This is 2 different numbers, but we knew that in the beginning. In general, when we have a quadratic, it's squared, so we're going to have 2 solutions. In general, if you have a polynomial, the leading power, there will be that many solutions. There's a little more of that story later on, but for right now, that's good enough for us. So it's 2 things. It is negative 23 plus 21 divided by 2. It is negative 23 minus 21 divided by 2. Well, negative 23 plus 21 is a negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. That is one of our x values. Negative 23 minus 21, that's a negative 44. Divided by 2 is a negative 22. So these are the same thing. You know, we've already seen them 2 other times, but we see them again. And we could naturally substitute, but we've already done that. Any question? Well, if you have a question, write it down and I'll answer it in the end. Okay, last method, this new method, completing the square. Let's go back to one of those fancy colors. That one. Let's go a little thicker stroke. Thicker. Completing habits, be able to write with the pen. It would. When I edit this video, I'll have to edit out talking about the toilet and other things. Yes, ma'am, I am good. Maybe I can edit a chipmunk voice over the top of
That would be so interesting.
me or of Hannah.
Wait, is it video?
Yes, this is being recorded.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
and
thought you were doing like a voiceover.
and I'm gonna post it on YouTube.
Doodled and then erased it. So is my hand as awesome as the other?
Of course. All right, completing square.
What even?
All right, now let's write it back in. Our quadratic is m squared. What was the original?
M squared
Plus 22. I'm gonna write the original again. It equals 23m, right? Okay, for completing the square, step 1. Collect variables on the left. And constants on the right. So this is a little bit different than the previous methods in that we're not setting it equal to 0. We have m squared plus 22 equals 23m. We're going to get the variables over here and the constants over here. So I'm going to subtract 23m on both sides. And at the same time here, I'm going to subtract that 22. Now, probably you won't have to do two steps at once here, but you can see what's going on. The 23m cancels with 23m to leave minus 22 over here. The 22 cancels with the 22 to leave a minus 23m. We have m squared minus 23m on the left, minus 22 on the right. I'm going to go back to a standard color. Step 2. Divide by a. We haven't had to, that hasn't mattered in any of our problems, but you need to be aware of it. If we have a coefficient here that's other than 1, it's going to change some stuff, but since ours is 1, dividing by 1 wouldn't change anything. So we are left with m squared minus 23m is equal to minus 22. Again, here it's trivial. Well, you're going to divide by a, you know, but if it's 1, there's no change, right? You divide by a. In this case, it is trivial, meaning it doesn't actually change. Just, you know, you want to be aware that needs to go down. Step 3. Add box number, and that box number will be 1/2 of b squared. Alright, so now I'm going m squared minus 23m plus some number. This one's going to be a little bit goofy. We have it's a plus 23m we have here. Was original a minus 23 on the other side? Okay. This should have been minus, so this was plus. This should have been minus, so that was plus. This was a minus. Pardon me for that error. We should have a plus. Should be a plus 23 there. Plus 23. Green on top of red on top of green. It's Christmas. Who doesn't? M squared plus 23m plus box equals negative 22 plus box. So in this case, B is 23. So our box number is equal to 1/2 of 23 squared. Find what is 1/2 of 23 squared using your calculator.
11 and a half.
Square that. Find using your calculator, then square that number.
1/2 of 23 or 22.
1/2 of 23 quantity squared. Noah.
Oh, heck it.
What did you get?
No, I hate this calculator.
Did you get it
I'm not
yet?
even sure how it's the inputs.
Just take 1/2 of 23 and square that number.
Yeah.
Is it 132.25?
I believe that it is. Kayla, did you get that? One-
Okay to have.
132.25. Yeah, if it's a terminating decimal, that's a great way to leave it. If it's some kind of repeating decimal, find the fraction. 132.25.
I think Desmos is throwing everyone off.
Use your phone.
Yeah, it's good to be able to use your phone as a calculator. You know, you'll probably frequently have your phone. Desmos might be a little bit harder to get to. All right, step 4.
Don't you the combine them?
Yeah, factor and combine like terms. Factor. And I'm not talking about the big X method. We're just going to go directly to factoring it as a perfect squared trinomial. Factor and combine like terms. So on this right hand side, negative 22 plus 132 1/4. See if you can find what that is. Feels like to me it's going to be positive 110 1/4. And now I'm factoring this thing. It very easily factors into one binomial squared. Square root of the first term goes first. Square root of this one goes first. Square root of this one goes last. And the square root of this one is also going to be the half of that one. Because remember, that's how we got that number. And this operator will be the operator in the middle. The square root of the first one first, square root of the last one last, that operator there in the middle. Okay. Step 5. Take square root. This paper is nice. It's like an infinite paper. And just keep scrolling up.
I could use that.
Takes-
in real life.
Infinite paper.
It's like a scene of an audio.
So we have m plus 11.5 squared is equal to 110.25. We're going to take the square root of both sides. We're just undoing that square. The whole purpose of this completing the square thing was to write it as one binomial squared so we can easily get this done. Well, when we take the square root of that, what happens is this square root cancels with that square there. And it leaves us on the right hand side with, I don't even need the parentheses anymore, leaves us with m plus 11.5. Over here we take the square root of 110.25 and it's going to be positive and negative of that. What is the square root of 110 1/4? 10.5. Alright, so now again we have the same deal where we have two solutions. One is m plus 11.5 is equal to a positive 10.5, or m plus 10.5 is equal to negative m plus 11.5, pardon me. 11.5 is equal to negative 10.5. So you see the plus and the minus version of that. We know what the end of this movie is. We've already seen it 3 times. This is a -1, naturally. And what's this other one going to be?
-22.
Of course. Minus 11.5. Minus 11.5. M equal -22. So the test will be one problem directly off of there, and you will have to demonstrate all 4 methods.